Yahuwah is hugging me right now, right now. Yahuwah is hugging me right now. He woke me up this morning and he clothed me in my right mind. Yahuwah is hugging me right now. Yahuwah is hugging me right now, right now. Yahuwah is hugging me right now. He woke me up this morning and he clothed me in my right mind. Yahuwah is hugging me right now. High praises to Yahuwah Elohim Most High. This is the 7th day of the 4th biblical lunar month, TAMMUZ, 7th. And we have come to the end of the 6 working days. And I am out here in this beautiful community to acknowledge that Yahuwah creation Sabbath of the first quarter of the moon for the 4th of the first week of the 4th biblical month has arrived. And it is with excitement and intrigue as I watch the new moon continue to grow with its silver-like branches from the 4th day until now. There is the moon above bearing witness that Yahuwah's Sabbath of the first quarter of the moon is here. And I am delighted to let the entire world know that it is the new moon and the 4 phases of the moon that determines what day Yahuwah's creation Sabbath will fall on. Yahuwah's Sabbath is not a day, they are dates. And they are the new moon, which is the first day, which is also a day of worship and celebration. Seventh day after the new moon is Yah's Sabbath. So Yah's Sabbaths are the 8th, which is the Sabbath of the first quarter of the moon, and the 15th, which is the Sabbath of the full moon, and the 22nd, which is the Sabbath of the third quarter of the moon, and the 29th, which is the fourth, which is the Sabbath of the fourth quarter of the moon, and the fourth and last Sabbath of each biblical lunar month. And so Yahuwah commands us in Psalms 81 that we are to sing unto him and that we are to play on the harp, the sweet sounding lyre, at the appointed time when his Sabbath is here, the new moon and the full moon, the day of the appointed, the day, the time appointed, and the day of the solemn feast. For this is a statute to Israel and a law to the father of Jacob. So we have it. The moon is Yah's time clock, and Yah shows his faithfulness and his love through the moon, which is his time clock. And so Yah command his people Israel that his Sabbaths are to be kept, because we know that Israel was in slavery in Egypt, and they had forgotten about Yahuwah's Sabbath. And so Yahuwah reminded them through Moses that they should keep his Sabbaths. I think it is Exodus, and I'm going to head for the scriptures which spoke that Yah spoke through Moses to speak unto the children of Israel that they keep his Sabbath day holy, because it is a sign between Yahuwah and the children of Israel throughout their generations forever. Yahuwah states that his Sabbath is to be kept because in 6 days he created, the 6 days he created the heavens and the earth and rested on the 7th day. And we realize that the new moon and the 7th day are days of worship and are different from the 6 working days, which is mentioned in Genesis 2, verses 1 to 3, and also in Exodus 20:1 to 11, and also in Exodus 31, verses 12 to 17, where Yahuwah Yahuwah told Moses that if the children of Israel did any work on those days, on the seventh day, they should be put to death and be cut off from his people. I just want to look at Jeremiah 17, where Yah commanded that Israel should keep his Sabbath, and the blessing that they would have. The blessing they would have if they keep the command. And I am reading from the NIV version. And I will just restore Yah's name as I go along. And as I said before, it's not my favorite. But this is the only Bible I have since my fire. So I'm just going to use what I have. It says, this is what Yahuwah said to me, go and stand in the gate of the people, through which the king of Judah go in and out, and stand also at the other gates of Jerusalem. Say to them, hear the word of Yahuwah, O king of Judah, and all people of Judah, and anyone living in Jerusalem who come through these gates. This is what Yahuwah says. Be careful not to carry a load on the Sabbath day or bring it through the gate of Jerusalem. Do not bring a load out of your houses or do any work on the Sabbath, but keep the Sabbath day holy, as I commanded your fathers. Yet they did not listen or pay attention. They were stiff-necked and would not listen or respond to discipline. But if you are careful to obey me, declares Yahuwah, and bring no load through the gates of the city on the Sabbath, but keep the Sabbath day holy by not doing any work on it, then the kings who sit on David's throne will come through the gate of this city with their officials. They and their officials will come riding chariots and horses, accompanied with the men of Judah and those living in Jerusalem. And this city will be inhabited forever. People will come from the town of Judah and the villages around Jerusalem, from the territory of Benjamin and the western foothills, from the hill country and the Nigels, bringing burnt offerings, sacrifice, grain offerings, incense, and thanks of offering to the house of Yahuwah. But if you do not obey me to keep the Sabbath day holy by not carrying any load as you come through the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, then I will kindle an unquenchable fire in the gates of Jerusalem that will consume her fortresses. My other Bible, which I don't have, tells us that Yah would kindle a fire in Jerusalem, which shall not be quenched. But Israel continued to break Yahweh's Sabbath. And as we know that because of Israel's disobedience, by breaking the Sabbath, Jerusalem was destroyed. Yah had promised that if they would keep the Sabbath, Jerusalem would stand forever. But that has not been the case because Israel continued to break Yah's Sabbath. So much that Yahuwah became tired of Israel's sin and caused his Sabbaths to be forgotten. I had looked at Amos 5, where it talked about how Israel continued to profane Yah's Sabbath and continue in idolatry. So much that Yahuwah had to cause his Sabbaths to be forgotten, and also cause them to go into captivity. I think I need to look, because the time is come when Yah is now causing his Sabbaths to be remembered. And Yah is now making his Sabbaths known. Making his Sabbaths known to his people, Israel, and also to those who would cleave to Israel. Yes, Israel tend to follow their heathen neighbors and continue to worship like the other nations. And as a result, they forgot Yahuwah, who brought them out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And they began to follow after other Elohim. I'm going to see if I can read. Yes. Okay. I wanted to read where Yah said they would go into captivity. Gates of sin, you trample on the poor. All right. This is what Yah have a terrible problem with Israel and their transgression. It says, let me see if I can find where I'm Okay, here I am. All right, let's just start somewhere. He says, yes, let me see this. Yah hated Israel and their transgression. All right. It says, Yah promised a war on Israel. It says, woe to you who long for the day of Yahuwah. Why do you long for the day of Yahuwah? That day it will be darkness, not light. It will be as though a man fled from a lion only to meet a bear, as though he entered the house and rested his hand on the wall only to have a snake bite him. It says, I hate I despise your religious feasts. I cannot stand it. Even though you bring me burnt offerings, I will not accept them. And he says, away with your noise and your songs and all of that. He says, did you bring me sacrifice and offering 40 years in the wilderness, O house of Israel? You have lifted up the shrine of your king and the pedestal of your idols, the star god, Saturn, which you made yourself. Therefore I will send you into exile beyond Damascus, says the mighty, says Yahuwah, whose name is Elohim Almighty. Oh, yes. So Israel continued to transgress Yahuwah's laws and Yahuwah's commandments. And as a result, Yahuwah caused his Sabbaths and the new moon to be forgotten. I am going to read Hosea 2 verse 11, and y'all just got tired of Israel's idolatry, and as a result, Yahuwah has caused his Sabbaths and his new moon to be forgotten. Verses 10. All right. It says, she has not, speaking of Israel, she has not acknowledged that I was the one who gave her grains, the new wine and the oil, who lavished on her the silver and the gold, which they use for Baal. Therefore, I will take away my grains when it ripens, and my new moon when it is ready. I will take back my wool and my linen, intended to cover her nakedness. So now I will expose her nudeness before the eyes of her lovers. No one will take her out of my hand. I will stop all her celebrations. Don't talk about festivals. This is the new NIV. Her new moons and her Sabbath days and all her appointed feast. I will ruin her vines and her fig trees. Yes, Israel's rebellion and idolatry has caused Yahuwah to take away his Sabbaths, cause his Sabbaths and the new moon to be forgotten by Israel, by his people. So there's no wonder we believe that Saturday was the Sabbath, because Yah himself has caused his Sabbaths and the new moon to be forgotten in Zion. Let us return to obedience. Let us keep Yah's Sabbath, and let us bear in mind that Yahuwah's Sabbath is determined by each new moon and the 4 phases of the moon. Yes, Ezekiel 46, 1 to 3, make it clear. Make it clear that the gates of the city should be closed during the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath, on the new moon day, and on the 7th day, it should be open for worship. I know that it is tedious for many to keep your Sabbath at this point in time because it moves from one day to the other. It's not like when we keep Saturday, it's every Saturday. Rome has hidden your Sabbath among the working days of the week, and so it is not a day, as we said, but they are dates. I'm going to look at Ezekiel 29, Ezekiel 48, and I'm going to see what it is saying. That if I can find it in this thing here. All right, Ezekiel 48, 29. I'm not. Do it have it? What does it say? Okay, it says, this is the land you are to allot as an inheritance to the tribe of Israel, and these will be their portion, declares Yahuwah. Declares our sovereign Yahuwah. Not saying good. All right. This is Yah's Sabbath. And Yah command us to keep his Sabbath day holy. And we are promised that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before Yahuwah. Yes, it's not easy. It's not really easy for us, after being taught that Saturday was a Sabbath all this time, to adapt to, Yah's true Sabbath. But let us realize that Yah revealed to us that the entire world is deceived. So we can take courage that nothing has been hidden from us. Yah let us know ahead of time that we are deceived. His people have been led astray by those who Christianize us. But Yahuwah is now ready to redeem us. Let us become obedient children. Let us not remain in Babylon, because Yahuwah did tell us that we are to come out of Babylon, because we have been lied to. Blessed are they that keep his commandments, said the word of Yahuwah, that they will have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into this city. We are called to come out of Babylon, lest we receive of her plagues. You know, many do not want the truth to be known. Many believe that the deception will continue. But Habakkuk tells us that the entire world will be full with the knowledge of Yahuwah, and righteousness will cover the earth like the water cover the sea. So despite the fact that truth is being hidden from us, Yahuwah promised that righteousness, the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah, and righteousness will cover the earth like the water cover the sea. It says, I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, so that you do not share in her sins, so that you do not receive of her plagues. For her sins are piled up to the heaven, and Elohim has remembered her crimes. Go back to her as she has forgiven you, and will pay her double. Yes, so let us come out of Babylon. Let us obey Yahuwah. Let us not follow those who teach tradition, because as Yahuwah says, in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrine the commandment of man. Let us remember Yah's Sabbath day to keep it holy. And let us bear Isaiah 1 verse 19 and 20, which says, if you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you will be devoured with the sword, for the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken it.